Well, it happened again. It's an annual occurrence now where an item resembling a noose was found on a black employee's desk, this time in Allentown, Pennsylvania, and inside the city hall. This is a city hall worker. And of course, the local city hall people are freaking out. The local morons are freaking out. The media is freaking out. The police are involved. Now the FBI is involved. And this story broke a few weeks ago, but I've been just watching it and waiting to see when reality would set in. So I have some interesting updates for you. You know that these things only turn out one of two ways. Either it was a USB cable that somebody just put on somebody's desk that was knotted up and looked like a scary noose and caused the delusional lunatics to completely freak out, and the police are just too woke to just put that person in a mental institution, or the individual concocted this hoax themselves.
After a disturbing discovery at an Allentown City Hall, people rallied for justice today. Residents, clergy, and mental health professionals took to the sidewalks in protest, demanding action and accountability after a city employee reported finding what police say resembled to be a noose on her desk last week.
What do we want? Justice! When do we want it?
Speakers presented a list of demands to city officials, including that the incident should be investigated as a federal hate crime. Councilwoman CeCe Gerlach tells Action News that a member of Allentown's Department of Community and Economic Development made the disturbing discovery after the employee requested mediation for complaints about workplace discrimination.
I actually spoke with a detective at the Allentown Police Department weeks ago as soon as this story broke. I didn't record the call because I live in a two-party consent state, so that would be illegal. But he wasn't giving any information, but he knew, based off of my questions, that I knew that he knew what this really was. Now, the Allentown police have got a search warrant to collect a DNA sample of the person who claims to be the victim of the noose. Turns out that person didn't want to willingly hand over their DNA so that they could be ruled out as a suspect, even though everybody else in the City Hall office willingly offered to turn over their DNA to rule them out. On January 15th, an FBI agent interviewed the employee. Throughout the interview, the agent noted several vague statements and deceptive answers that raised concern in the investigation. Shortly after the interview, the city employee called the agent and requested that the FBI discontinue the investigation into who put the noose on her desk. One of the questions I asked the detective was if it's discovered that this individual planted it themselves, if they would be charged with filing false police reports and making false statements to the police. And his answer was that would be up to the district attorney. So if we have a George Soros DA, and if this turns out to be a hoax, which obviously it looks like it is, then the DA is not going to actually press charges, and this is just going to quietly go away. Now, if that were the case, then we should make this a national story. We should put pressure on the district attorney to do the right thing, because we can't allow these George Soros-funded DAs to keep letting criminals go free. Stay tuned, because there's plenty more to come in this video, but real quick, subscribe to my channel if you're new here, because you're not going to find information and analysis like this anywhere else. Of course, the most famous noose hoax comes from Jussie Smollett, where even a black man on the jury just couldn't understand why he kept the noose around his neck the whole time and waited for police to show up before he removed it. Not to mention, it didn't make sense to anybody that he would leave his apartment to go get a Subway sandwich in the middle of the night in a polar vortex when it was negative 15 degrees outside. And how many dozen FBI agents and hundreds of man-hours were wasted when Bubba Wallace's NASCAR noose hoax broke, which any normal person with half a brain knew exactly what was going on? Before the FBI admitted the obvious of what happened, MSNBC attacked me for, well, saying the obvious on Twitter.
There was, I guess, inevitably, you had people like Dinesh D'Souza and Mark Dice and others who came out immediately and said, you know, that they think that this is all made up, that the noose, we didn't get to see the noose, we didn't get to see pictures of the noose, the picture we saw isn't really, it's, you know, basically questioning the legitimacy of the story, claiming somehow that this is a Jussie Smollett thing, That was obviously
That was obviously exactly what happened, sir. And my working theory, when I posted about it on Twitter, which is what they're talking about, was that it was an extension cord that somebody just coiled up and hung on the wall somewhere. Now, that wasn't exactly accurate, but my working theory was 100% accurate that it was not a noose, that it was some kind of an item that was insanely interpreted as a noose. And then a couple years ago, there were 7 nooses, or items that resembled nooses, including a rope that was used to tie a gate shut that was the entrance to a construction site at the facility for a new Amazon warehouse. And this paranoia made national news.
This evening in the Northeast, construction of a new Amazon facility has now been halted tonight after what was discovered on site in Windsor, Connecticut. Authorities say a 7th noose has now been found. Here's ABC's Ariel Reshef tonight.
That's okay, David Muir. I'll take it from here. The nooses at construction sites is a phenomenon that has been happening for years. Here is the Washington Post from last year. Dozens of nooses have shown up on U.S. construction sites. The culprits rarely face consequences. Black workers, who make up only 6% of the sector, found many of the 55 nooses reported at 40 work sites since 2015. Even somebody who doesn't even own a screwdriver should know exactly what it is that's happening. And so to help the liberal media morons, I asked Meta's AI, which is sort of like Meta's ChatGPT, to come up with the explanation. I just asked it, what practical use would a noose have on a construction site? And surprisingly, the answer is actually accurate, and there isn't even a word of wokeness. A noose, also known as a running noose or hangman's noose, has several practical uses on construction sites, primarily related to lifting, securing, and maneuvering heavy loads. Here are some examples. Lifting equipment. A noose can be used to lift equipment, such as generators, pumps, or tools in place. Securing loads. A noose can be used to secure loads like pipes or lumber to a crane or hoist, preventing them from shifting during transport. Rigging. A noose can be used as a rigging tool to lift or place heavy construction materials, such as concrete blocks or steel beams. Scaffolding. A noose can be used to secure scaffolding components like pipes or frames to the building or a stable structure. Fall protection. A noose can be used as a makeshift anchor point for fall protection systems, such as a harness or lanyards. And this hoax at the Amazon facility in Connecticut was 2 years ago, and there have been 0 updates about the police investigation, which would obviously just reveal that they were basic construction ropes and devices that are common on construction sites. So, of course, being your trusted media analyst, I called the lead detective on this case, who I had spoke to 2 years ago. As soon as it broke, I left him a message, and he won't return my calls. So now it looks like they didn't even close this case because they were too cowardly to admit the obvious before even investigating it. But after 5 minutes of an investigation, professional police and detectives would know exactly what happened. So now it's just one of those unsolved mysteries. They probably put it in with the X-Files. But there is more news on the Making America Great Again front. It looks like Jim Acosta may be quitting CNN. Either that or this is just a tactic to try to get them to allow him to keep his show, because they decided to pull him from his usual morning slot and then put him at midnight. And so all the reports are circulating that he has decided to quit. So now maybe we'll see him starting up a YouTube channel like Don Lemon, who surprisingly has amassed 433,000 subscribers because, well, I mean, we do live amongst millions of morons. For you intelligent people out there, if you want to sponsor an OG YouTuber like me and get yourself a great shirt, which make fantastic conversation starters, then head on over to my online store, markdice.com, or click the link in the description below and order the classic Liberalism Find a Cure shirt, the Teflon Don shirt, the Sorry No Vacancy Deport Them All shirt, or any of my awesome designs, all available in a t-shirt, long sleeve, and a hoodie, and a whole bunch of different colors as well. So head on over to markdice.com or click the link in the description below and check them out.